Emmanuel McNeil-Warren out of Toledo is a massive steal, not just because of his scheme fit, but because he was a turnover-generating machine during his collegiate career. To see why this pick is so insane, you have to look at how this secondary deploys its defensive backs. Even with the transition in defensive coordinator to Mike Rutenberg, Cleveland is locked into keeping the exact same structural system, and their favorite weapon in the modern game is the three-safety package. It demands aggressive chess pieces who can spin down into the box or match up in the slot on any given snap. If you watch his college film, you see a player who was built in a lab to run this exact system. At the NFL Combine, McNeil-Warren weighed in at a rock-solid 201 pounds with an elite 78 1/4 inch wingspan. He has the perfect size and the downhill high-end closing speed to play right at the line of scrimmage, erase tight ends over the middle, and completely disrupt outside run concepts. He spent his final year at Toledo dominating everywhere from deep free safety to a true box robber, giving Cleveland a dynamic hybrid defender who executes coverage disguise from day one. Looking at the roster timeline, Ronnie Hickman and Grant Delpit are the established veterans, but it takes three to tango in this three-safety package. McNeil-Warren doesn't need to sit on the bench, and at the very least to start off, he steps directly into that crucial third safety role that Cleveland leans on heavily on early downs. The kid is a dominant football performer with a closing trigger and turnover-generating instinct that perfectly fits this attack front mentality. Cleveland no doubt secured a blue-chip system fit who will make an immediate schematic impact. Yo, we've cut through the noise in the Pacific Northwest because the word out of the VMAC is that Bud Clark is a tone setter. To understand why Seattle went for him at pick 64, you have to look at the pure ball hawk production he put on tape at TCU. Clark finished his career as a three-time captain with a ridiculous 15 interceptions and 35 pass breakups. Coming into the draft, the analysts were split. Some viewed him as a positional tweener because of a slender 188-pound frame, leading to a projected 4th or 5th round grade. McDonald absolutely set the tone when he explicitly credited GM John Schneider's evaluation of Bud Clark. Reality is that McDonald doesn't care about the frame. He cares about the range and the 4.41 speed. Scouts raved about his cornerback skills and a safety's body, noting that while his missed tackle rate was a concern in college, his instincts in deep zone coverage were compared to a young Kevin Byard. He's a gambler who triggers downhill with elite closing burst, exactly the kind of high-ceiling playmaker this scheme needs to help punish quarterbacks. But let's examine the massive roadblock on the depth chart. The Seahawks just brought a Lombardi Trophy home, and they did it with a secondary that is locked down for the long haul. With Pro Bowler Julian Love signed through 2027 and Nick Emmanuel, the reigning Defensive Rookie of the Year finalist, under a fully guaranteed contract through 2028, the path to a 100% full-time role for Bud Clark is going to be a battle of attrition. Love and Emmanuel are the established anchors, meaning Clark is likely entering his rookie year as a high-upside third wheel in those heavy NFL nickel and dime packages McDonald loves to run. That doesn't mean the production won't be there at all. We saw Kobe Bryant rack up 66 total tackles last season because he was the Iron Man who played 977 snaps when the room got thin. So whether he starts with 60% of the snaps or finds a way to force his way into a 1,000-snap role like Bryant did, Bud Clark has officially put his name as someone to watch very closely.
The Raiders built a new foundation in free agency, overhauling the defense by snagging plenty of veteran heavy hitters. But the aggressive moves they made to reunite Arizona's Treydan Stukes and Dalton Johnson, this wasn't just a best player available situation. It was a calculated strike to bring that Tucson energy to the Strip. Treydan Stukes was the first piece of that puzzle at pick 38, and he might be the biggest steal of the entire second round. Mel Kiper Jr. is already calling him a statistical outlier after he posted a near-perfect 9.95 RAS at the Combine. We're talking about a guy who clocked a blistering 4.33-second 40-yard dash and has the versatility to play anywhere in the backfield. On the field, the production matches the traits. Stukes put up an elite 90.4 PFF coverage grade in 2025, allowing a stingy 0.4 yards per coverage snap. He appeared in college highlights as a coverage guy who can shut down wide receivers, and the Raiders knew his 2024 injury history was the only reason he was even available. But the real moment came when the Raiders decided they weren't leaving without Dalton Johnson. To move up to pick 150, Vegas actually traded away former top 10 pick Tyree Wilson and pick 219 to the New Orleans Saints. That tells you everything about how much they valued Johnson's hammer mentality. He led the Wildcats in tackles for 2 straight seasons, racking up a career-high 97 stops as a redshirt senior. At the Combine, he turned heads with a 4.41 40-yard dash, showcasing he has the straight-line speed to match his instincts. Johnson finished 2025 with an 88.6 PFF coverage grade and allowed a ridiculous 37.8 passer rating when targeted. But as long as Jeremy Chin is still there, he basically looks like a dynasty project this defense needs to develop for a year. They aren't just bringing in 2 rookies, they're bringing in a pre-built communication system that's been honed over 40 games together.